Hey, Tubies! This is Bob Hickman. It is so rocking to be with you guys. Well, I promised you we'd have another alien UFO video today, and I'm not going to disappoint you. Anyways, before we get into that, I want to say thank you. Thank you to all of you who came out to yesterday's video on Merlin the Magician. If you haven't seen that, check that out. I talk about Merlin, the reality of him, and working with him as an ascended master. Pretty neat stuff. You don't want to miss it. Anyways, a lot of you have been writing and you've been asking me about aliens, and you're saying, Psychic Bob, what do you think about aliens? Are aliens real? And I had somebody also ask me, they said, Psychic Bob, do you think that we come from Mars? Do you think we could be connected to Martians? And I thought that is a very interesting concept. I'd never really considered a Martian aspect because, as many of you know, I do believe that the Palladians from the star system, the Pleiades, are directly involved in human evolution. But the more I thought about it, I thought it's possible that other life forms could be involved. Well, it got me thinking, and I was researching, and I found one of my favorite books. This is an original. I'm quite proud of this. This is called Inside the Spaceships, and it's by George Adamsky. I'll put his picture up here for you. George Adamsky was a professor. He was an astronomer and a ufologist. And he became very famous in the 1950s for claiming to have had contact with extraterrestrials, particularly from Venus, Mars, and Saturn. Now, in the day, George Adamsky was written off by many as a flake, as a crazy man. But you know what? I have to tell you, I think that history will be kinder to Adamsky than his own time period. There's a saying that a prophet is never appreciated in his time. And if you study the ancient history, particularly like the biblical history, many of the ancient prophets would reveal these amazing truths of, the universe and of God and of all of this, and they were oftentimes mocked and ridiculed and exiled. Well, I think George Adamsky kind of is going to fall into that category as well. He came out, his first book was called Flying Saucers Have Landed. And then this was his second book, Inside the Spaceships. And I have actually an original first edition copy in hardback. So I'm really quite excited to own this. But what's very interesting is he claims to have encountered Venusians, Martians, and Saturnians, people from Saturn, and claimed that they are human. And he seems to imply in his books that the alien life forms within our solar system, I'm not saying the whole galaxy, but within our solar system and the planets close to Earth, have a humanoid form. And this is very, very interesting. And in fact, in this book, he documents this. And I thought I'd read a little bit of passage. Now, what's interesting is George Adamsky literally one day felt called to go to a hotel. He says in his books at times the aliens literally give him like a telepathic prompting, a compulsion. He knows where to go at what time. And so in this, what happened is he was out at his home in the country, and he got a telepathic message to go into town to this hotel where he would be met. And this talks about his encounter with them. So I thought I would read this to you. Hold on, let me put on my glasses here. It's like Bob's getting old. And this is at nighttime. He had went there earlier in the day, and he waited and waited and waited. So it's late now. And he says, I looked at my wristwatch and saw that it said 10:30. The lateness of the hour, with still nothing of extraordinary significance having taken place, sent a wave of disappointment through me. And just at this moment of depression, two men approached, one of whom addressed me by name. Both were complete strangers, but there was no hesitancy in the manner as they came forward, and nothing in their appearance to indicate that they were other than average young businessmen. Because I had lectured in Los Angeles, made appearances on radio and TV, and had also been visited by a great many people from that city at my Palomar Gardens home, such an approach from strangers was not an uncommon experience. I noted that both men were both very well proportioned. One was slightly over 6 feet and looked to be in his early 30s. His complexion was ruddy, his eyes dark brown, with the kind of sparkle that suggests great enjoyment of life. His gaze was extraordinarily penetrating. His black hair waved and was cut according to our style. Now, this is the 1950s, okay? He wore a dark brown business suit, but no hat. And as many of you know, in the 1950s, a lot of men wore the fedoras. The shorter man looked younger, and I judged his height to be about 5 feet 9 inches. He had a round, boyish face, a fair complexion, and eyes of a grayish blue. His hair, also wavy and worn in our style, was sandy in color. He was dressed in a gray suit and was also hatless. He smiled as he addressed me by name. As I acknowledged the greeting, the speaker extended me his hand, and when it touched mine, a great joy filled me. The signal was the same as I had been given by the man I had met on the desert on that memorable November 20th, 1952. Consequently, I knew that these men were not inhabitants of Earth. Nevertheless, I felt entirely at ease as we shook hands and the younger man said, "We were to meet you. Have you the time to come with us?" Without a question in my mind, nor the slightest apprehension, I said, "I place myself entirely in your hands." Together we left the lobby, I walking between them. About a block north of the hotel, they turned into a parking lot where they had a car waiting. They had not spoken during the short time, yet inwardly I knew that these men were true friends. I felt no urge to ask where they proposed to take me, nor did it seem odd that they had volunteered no information. An attendant brought the car around, and the younger man slid into the driver's seat, motioning me to get in beside him. Our other companion also sat with us on the front seat. The car was a four-door black Pontiac sedan. Now, isn't that interesting that they're in a black Pontiac sedan? Now, many of you have studied ufology, know about the men in black phenomenon. That's going to be a whole nother video. But many of the people who have encountered the men in black claim that they arrive in, black sedan cars, very clean and shiny, beautiful cars. And some people have encountered the men in black said there's something about them that seems more than human, even though they appear human. So this may also point to an alien connection with the men in black. The man who'd taken the wheel seemed to know exactly where he was going and drove skillfully. I am not familiar with all the new highways leading out of Los Angeles, so I had no idea in which direction we were headed. We rode in silence, and I remained entirely content to wait for my companions to identify themselves and explain the reason behind our meeting. I realized that such a trusting attitude ordinarily would seem foolhardy in light of the lawlessness rampant in our world today, but it was an attitude followed by men of other civilizations in the presence of men recognized to possess greater wisdom than they. This custom has also been practiced by the American Indians to show respect and humility, patience and faith. I understood this well and conducted myself accordingly, since in the presence of these men I sensed a power which made me feel like a child in the company of beings of vast wisdom and compassion. Lights and dwellings thinned as we left the outskirts of the city. The taller man spoke for the first time as he said, "You have been very patient. We know how much you are wondering who we are and where we are taking you." I acknowledged, of course, that I had been wondering, but added I was entirely content to wait for this information until they chose to give it to me. The speaker smiled and indicated the driver. "He is from the planet you call Mars. I am from the one you call Saturn. His voice was soft and pleasant, and his English perfect. I had noticed the younger man also spoke softly, although his voice was pitched higher. I found myself wondering how and where they had learned to speak our language so very well. As the thought passed through my mind, it was immediately recognized. The Martian now spoke for the first time since our meeting in the hotel. We are what you on Earth might call contact men. We live and work here because, as you know, it is necessary on Earth to earn money with which to buy clothing, food, and the many things that people must have. We have lived on your planet now for several years. At first, we did have a slight accent, but that has been overcome, and as you can see, we are unrecognized as other than Earthmen. At our work and in our leisure time, we mingle with people here on Earth, never betraying the secret that we are inhabitants of other worlds. That would be dangerous, as you know. We understand you people better than most of you know yourselves and can plainly see the reasons for many of the unhappy conditions that surround you. We are aware that you yourself have faced ridicule and criticism because of your persistence in proclaiming the reality of human life on other planets, which your scientists say are incapable of maintaining life. So you can well imagine what would happen to us if we so much as hinted that our homes are on other planets. If we stated the simple truth that we have come to your Earth to work and to learn, just as some of you go to other nations to live and study, we would be labeled insane. We are permitted to make brief visits to our home planets. Just as you long for a change of scene or to see old friends, so it is with us. It is necessary, of course, to arrange such absences during official holidays or even over a weekend so that we will not be missed by our associates here on Earth. Anyways, it goes on and on. But isn't this very interesting? Because, I've had clients come to me for readings, and they have said, Bob, I encountered somebody who looked absolutely human, and I know that they were an alien. And these are not insane people. So this theme keeps popping up over and over again. Now, what's very interesting talking about Mars is as NASA has been exploring Mars with their rover, the Explorer rover, it's been sending back a lot of curious images. And many of you heard about the face on Mars. Let me put that up here. And also, you've heard about the pyramids on Mars. Now, when I look at those images, I tell you, though we can't directly prove it, I have to say it certainly makes me question whether there is an active intelligence on Mars, or at least had been at one point. Now, some people speculate there are underground bases on Mars, and I tell you, I've even had to give that serious consideration because there's been a new anomaly that has popped up on Mars, is that columns of light are now coming up from underneath the planet. It's as if a doorway is open and somehow a laser beam or a light beam is coming up from underground. I'll show you pictures of that as well. So, this is very, very fascinating. Can we prove there's life on Mars? Well, not yet 100%, but I'll tell you, I do believe that George Adamsky did encounter people from Mars, and I do believe that many of our ancient Earth cultures and civilizations have ties to Mars. For example, if we look at the ancient Atlanteans, as we've talked about with their pyramids, they openly claim to have had interaction with aliens. So if pyramids started with Atlantis, migrated to Egypt, and they were influenced by aliens, isn't it fascinating that now we find pyramids on Mars very much, almost exactly, really, like the ones on Earth? So you see, perhaps the Martians really do look like us, and maybe we really are the Martians. Anyways, I just want to come in, touch in on that idea with you guys today. Tell me in the box below, have you ever heard about us being connected to the Martians? Maybe you've encountered a Martian. What's your thoughts about aliens within our solar system? You think they look human? I don't know. Pretty amazing stuff. I'll tell you, as a psychic, when I read this book, I pick up vibrations of truth. So I do believe there are aliens on Mars. I believe they're on Venus. Maybe you think differently, and that's okay. Let's have a discussion about it. So share your thoughts in the box below. Tell me if you believe in life on Mars. How do you think it connects with Earth? Could we be part Martian? A lot to think about. Anyways, guys, so glad you're here. Hope you'll keep it here at Spirit Channel. We got more coming. We're going to have an amazing video tomorrow. In fact, we're going to have horoscopes tomorrow. No, wait, today's Friday. Tomorrow we're going to have Saturday night seance. I'll do horoscopes on Sunday. I know we're behind, but I've been out of town. But we'll do Saturday night seance tomorrow, horoscopes on Sunday. So you don't want to miss that. Anyways, like this favorite, share it with your friends, put comments in the box below. Oh, make sure to hit subscribe. We'd love you to be part of our channel. So many of you watch, you say this is fun. Well, hit subscribe. It's free. You'll get updates and you'll be part of our community. We'd love you to be here. I thank you for being here. I send my greetings and my blessings to you. We'll see you back here tomorrow for Saturday night seance.